This video is for the individual exercise for the Route 63 earthwork in Chapter 10. Okay, right now I have the corridors file open, and if you go through step 1, that's what it asks you to open is corridors file. And the main reason we open the corridors file is because we got to change the template drops before creating our cross sections for our earthwork. So what you'll do is you'll get to the corridor, you'll highlight it, and you'll get your heads up prompts, your heads up display. First one's the properties. We'll go into there and look at what design stage we have it set at. Right now it's set at preliminary times 40, meaning that it's a 40 times whatever we use for a template drop, and it's giving us our distance. So what we want to do is change it to 1, a final of 1, to give us our very final cross sections. So when we do this, it'll process. It'll take a few moments to process, and you'll see the template drops get much closer. Okay, and this whole thing with the earthwork, it's calculated off the model, the 3D model, and not off the Microstation or Power GEOPAK lines in the cross section. So it's important to have this as accurate as possible, and this changing that preliminary design stage to final for this helps with interpolation from one section to the other. And you can see it's tightened up quite a bit. So we got a lot here, and if I go over to the 3D model, you can see we're now interpolating a lot less. And if I'm not sure what my template drop was, I can always go back to the corridor tool, the corridor creation tools, and the hammer, and open up this corridor objects. And when you do that, you'll get the other dialog, and this tells me that they were dropped at 5. So I'm getting 5-foot template drops. Really, I just need 25 foot. So I'm going to change it here on the fly and hit enter. And when I do that, it's going to go out and recalculate my template drops, and I'll get 25-foot drops instead of, well, I had 40 at preliminary, and 25 is pretty tight. Now you can get closer if you want to. That's up to you, whatever you want to do. This is a rather large project. I'm going to leave it like it is. So I'll close that out. I'm in the final design stage, meaning I get all my critical sections. And you can see these extra sections in here, these template drops that they drop in there for any kind of PI, PT, vertical, anything happening. It's going to drop an extra template drop. The important part about the cross section part is wherever you have a cross section, you want to have a template drop so that there's no interpolation. So sometimes you come back and use a key station to place in there to drop a template. Okay, getting back to the project. Now we need, after we've done that, now we want to go and open up the cross section file for Route 63. So I'm going to go down and find it. I will open it up. It will give me the check-in dialog. I'll check it in, and I will see the Route 63. Probably cross-section model, yes, and that's what it's showing me. So this is what I did last. I annotated it, but now I'm wanting to do earthwork. So I'm going to create some brand new ones for my earthwork. So we go to the Models tab, Models tool at the top, and I'll double-click on Default. And then I'll come back into my default model. And here's where we're going to once again create cross sections. We did that over the last chapter. We created cross sections. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly throw some out here. And to do that, I just go to my task, pull down, go to my create cross section tool. And when it comes up, it just tells me to locate the alignment. I'm going to pick that Route 63 and let it load. Okay, the tool's up. I'll check my preferences. I want to do a 10 scale sheet. I will load that, close. And that's a feature. When you close out of that, if you didn't minimize your power project-wise, it will pop up to the front. So now it's out of the way. So all my defaults are there. I want to go back to my custom tab, and just like I did in the last chapter, I'm going to come in here and select a few items. So I'm going to use my element selection tool, using the mode of add. I'm going to pick my 4 pattern lines out here. And then I'm going to change my station range down to line string. Graphics becomes available. Hit the graphics. Now I have my station range and types of custom cross sections I want to create. I also want to do a station range, and in this one, instead of doing 10 plus, I'm just going to go back and do maybe 30 and do a 30 plus 0, 0. Or if we're going to follow along the book, let's see what it says. We did a 10 plus 0, 0, so we'll leave it at that, and we'll go to the 60 plus 0, 0 that we used before. Our interval will be 50 again. Left and right offsets are 140. So I'll set them up just like we did before in the last chapter. And then I'll simply just add that information to the list. My controls, I'm going to go out and turn off my critical sections because I just want even sections. And in my sheet, I can come down to my annotation and again populate the information I need for producing the title block. So Route 63, update district, Northeast, update county, Randolph, update job number, whoop, J2B0, not O. And I'll update that as well. That's what I get for thinking ahead. The info we'll use is, again, I'll just, instead of cross sections, I'll do maybe earthwork on this one. And then update that field. Info 2, I'll say Route 63. So it's all finished the way I want to create that sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the apply button and let it go out and create the new cross-section model with the new settings. And you know, we did the individual Route 63 cross sections. We didn't change the design stage to a tighter design stage. So now we're doing it where our template drops are much closer. Still doing the same amount of cross sections, but we're not doing. It's a lot less interpolation on this part. So as soon as this thing gets done processing, we will have some cross sections to work with. So I'm finished with the cross section tool. I just kind of want to zoom in, make sure I turn off some levels, and again I'm going to turn off my minor grid lines and even my majors. I don't want to see them for this, so I'll just turn them off. But you can simply turn them back on if you want to create the sheets with them. So cross sections are done. I come in and look, and I've got my information out here, got my supers going. Everything looks pretty good. So I'll go ahead and go over to the taskbar, and instead of using the annotation, which we did last time, we're going to do the end area volume tool. So that's the fourth tool on the toolbar. It's got the little ruler on top of some cross sections. So when you click it, this dialog changes, and the first thing I want to do is select my preference. Now this is in steps 5 and 6 of the manual, so I'll go ahead and preferences, mode out earthwork. Again, we have one option because everything works with that annotation scales. So I'll load that and close it. Right now I'm looking at my cross sections, and my cross section view is a Route 63_1, but my cross section model is set to Route 63. So what's going to happen here is if I don't change this, it's going to go out to that Route 63 window model, and it's going to run earthwork on there, and I'm not going to see shapes and stuff show up here. So I need to change this first. Route 63_1, that matches my view, meaning now I will see it happen in my design file. Now you got to pick the two surfaces that you want to get your areas, your quantities with. So we're going to pick our existing ground, and we're going to turn off Road 1, and we'll go ahead and keep a Route 63 and our J2P0200. We want to leave the create XML report on, so we'll have that. And we're going to look at step number 10. It just says complete the classification settings as below, so we'll go down to classifications, look at that, and I'm pretty sure it matches. Again, if you had a component that you didn't want to see, you can come out here to classification and change that to ignore, and it will ignore the earthwork on that. But everything we got here we want to see. Last thing that we need to do is go ahead and click the apply button. So we'll go ahead and hit apply. It's going to process, brings up our end area volume report. And what it's doing is computing end areas, and it's using computing volumes between the sections, and it's using the model. So that's what it's going to do here. Okay. In the end area volume report, it gives us a simple report out here. And these, all this stuff, this information that we see you can change it easily just by going to the tools, format options, and right now the convert to cubic yards was actually checked on, so that will match what I have in my design file. A lot of times this is turned off, and you can see it changes all my factors and all my numbers. So I want to leave that on for my report. Sometimes it comes up with metric stationing. You can just simply come in and change it, and you're good. Decimal points, you might want to change some decimal points. This report changes on the fly, so all this stuff's highly editable. So I'll close out of that. Again, if you we've talked in other videos that if you wanted to save this report, or save a different one, maybe you like the end area volume page better, you can always just right click and say I want to save it for my end area volume, and that would be my default. But right now it's set to this one, and you can see by the check mark, so it will always come up to this. You can also save it off to Microsoft Excel by simply right clicking over this area and just export in Excel, and so that will create an Excel file out of it. So I'm done with the end area volume report, so I'm going to close this out, okay, and look in the back, and you can see the end area volumes that we have going on. Some cut and fills going on, some drastics on this Route 63, so they're there. I don't know if I got too many that's kind of in between. There's some that's got a little cut and fill. So it's got our shapes and it's got our quantities out there, so we're good to go. Just to show you though, I'm going to go out to an area and change something. I'm going to do an undo to get rid of all my earthwork. If I had my standards bar out, so I'll undo and get rid of the earthwork. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a section so you can see it. Let's try this one here. I got this line out here, this end condition that's found this location, but I just want to simply come out and move it and manually manipulate it. Okay, so I'm going to set it there. And what I'm trying to show you is that you shouldn't really manipulate this when it comes to the slopes and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and apply again. Tools out. When I apply this time, you'll see that a volume report comes up again. I'll close it. But you can see in the cross-section view that the model, or the earthwork, is created off the model. So it's going to go out and look at it and put the slopes where it finds it in the model, not where our Microstation graphics are at. So that's a big thing. Now, if you're wanting to change something and maybe modify some cross sections because you got some ways that you want to calculate up in here and minor detail stuff, there's a new document coming out, or that may be out, to help adjust with how the model's supposed to be created, or how detailed it needs to be. You might want to check back with that. And that's pretty much sums up the earthwork for Route 63, the individual exercise.